Hey, welcome back to A Valiant Effort. I'm Josh.
I'm Ted.
I'm Nick.
And today we're driving a 2017 Toyota Tacoma off-road.
I think my favorite thing about this truck has always just been that it has a manual, and it's not a terrible manual, which I think a lot of modern manuals just are kind of like the Jeep that we recently reviewed. It was so bad that I almost would rather have an automatic, and this actually makes it worthwhile, and I like that about this truck.
Yeah, it's one of the things that I really did fall in love with when I was looking at them, and one of the reasons why I bought a Tacoma in the first place was because I could get a manual as a daily driver. And it's a very notchy, like wants to be in the gear style transmission. I love the feel of it.
I have some opinions on all of those statements.
Okay.
All right.
The hard, sad truth is I think that you're taking a vehicle that should not be daily driven to begin with and then making it less drivable by giving it a manual transmission to the average person. You know, I think that a truck for a normal family is either a third vehicle where anyone should be able to jump in it and drive it, or is a strict work truck. I've never understood why someone would want to buy a truck specifically to be a daily driver, especially if you're not a tradesperson. And honestly, I work in construction, and a lot of trades guys don't even want trucks because it's worse gas, it's more expensive consumables. If you get a 2,500 or greater, depending on the state possibly, but you're paying higher taxes and more insurance. And like then you're basically used and abused because everyone knows you have a truck. You're forced to take stuff to the job sites. And
Yeah, some weird friends borrow it to work on their house or something. Yeah.
Right. You know, but for $70 or whatever, you can go down to Home Depot and rent a truck for a day, and you're not abusing your own truck. I'd say that's it. I don't need to be super aggressive. That's kind of the truth.
Yeah. Well, you do make a lot of sacrifices when you get a truck as a daily.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the obvious ones that Nick already mentioned, but I mean, gas mileage is a tough one, and the Ridgeline we reviewed kind of makes up for that a little bit because it's not really a truck, it's more of an SUV with a bed. But this is kind of, this is more of a true truck, body on frame type of thing. And so yeah, you do make sacrifices, and the ride is one of those sacrifices. It's pretty rough in here sometimes, especially if you're in the back.
Yeah. But I mean, even just gas mileage.
Yeah.
It's
23 max, 24 maybe.
And I think part of it is that this is definitely a truckier tire than what a Ridgeline would get.
Or even what like an SR5 or any of the lower trim Tacomas get. They have more SUV style tires.
Mm-hmm. Right. But I mean, other than that, the performance is fine. It's quick enough.
It's mostly on the high end.
Yeah.
Yeah, and coming out of first gear sometimes, I'm sure it's obviously specific to the manual, but if you're not like really, really smooth, and I'm no spring chicken, but it bogs down pretty easily.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's not one of our fastest cars that we've tested, although
it's not the slowest.
No,
it's
not the slowest. No.
One thing that I know we all kind of like the brakes, but we wouldn't recommend taking this truck out for a canyon run or spirited driving.
They're pretty weak.
But they're also, I find them hard to modulate. Especially when I borrowed it for a few days, it was really a few weeks, so it was more like a month.
Yeah.
But I felt like I was either slamming on them or I was barely slowing down, especially at low speeds. Like through a drive-through kind of thing, I'd go to tap it and I'd be like, "Arr!" Yeah. But I mean, they're good. Like for you know.
Yeah. Well, and overall, I think that the truck kind of handles pretty well for its size and for being a truck.
But
You
it's
know?
also like there's a certain amount of entertainment
Yeah.
from the body roll.
Yeah,
and
it almost, it's kind of like driving my 94 XJ, which I think is also what
Makes that fun.
made me like it.
Yeah.
Just because, like, when I get in that thing, I can't help but smile when I drive it. Like, it's a fun, quirky little kind of thing. And this has aspects of that almost.
Yeah.
So I enjoy that.
Yeah.
But it's also like once it gets through the first roll, I mean, it plants itself. You know, it's not like it's all over the place, and it is pretty fun.
Yeah.
Highway speed, you definitely got to downshift to pass.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's a long. This is a long gear. I mean, I'm only like 3,500 RPM.
Yeah.
And
Was that fourth?
Yeah.
Yeah. Fourth is huge.
Yeah. I mean, it's not go to jail speed, but it was enough.
And that's why, I mean, you can shift down to fourth when you want to pass.
Oh yeah.
And it's,
Yeah, I
that's
mean,
your
it'd be
passing gear.
definitely-
The sixth is really a true overdrive.
Oh yeah. No, that's
Oh,
that's
yeah.
plenty.
Yeah.
Fifth isn't terrible, but it's
It's still not as good as fourth.
no. No.
Duh.
Yeah.
Yeah, we found that as far as, you know, being on the highway for long periods of time, it can get a little bit fatiguing to be in this. It's not terrible, but it's, you know, it's certainly worse than, say, like, you know, the Ridgeline or something like that. It's pretty loud. It's actually hard for me to hear you guys from back here.
Yeah, the back seat in this is surprisingly loud when it
The
comes to
front-
road noise.
Yeah, well, in the exhaust, there's a big
Yeah.
audible difference.
Especially on this side.
Yeah. As a vehicle, it's fine. I just, you know, I think that there's other vehicles that do a better job at most of what this does, unless you actually need to tow. And just, you know, my personal gripe, and this is any car, is if you're working something at 95%, like say you're always towing 7,000 pounds or 6,900 and it tows 7,200 or whatever, I just think that you maybe go up to one level higher.
The 2017 Tacoma TRD Off-Road is a great truck with an excellent optional manual transmission. We didn't mention it, but this thing is also killer off-road, as the name alludes, and does a lot of what a full-size truck can do while being a more manageable size. However, unlike the Ridgeline we tested a while back, it still retains many of the compromises that a full-size truck would have, including in the interior.
Oh.
Interior!
The insides.
Welcome to the inside of the Toyota Tacoma TRD Off-Road 2017. It's fine in here.
Yeah.
We were kind of arguing not arguing, we were just discussing politely the seats earlier. I don't mind them, I think they're fine. But I know kind of paired with the ride, I know it's not like the greatest thing. We're not driving in a G80 or anything in here, but
They fit well.
Yeah.
It's just I don't think that I don't know. I guess that it's hard for me to think any seat is extremely comfortable if the ride also doesn't match the seat.
yeah,
That's probably the best way to put it.
yeah, that makes sense.
Like my seats, if the ride sucked, you might associate that with the seats.
True.
But we associate my seats with being comfortable for that reason.
Yeah, because you have a nice.
but the
soft
design
ride.
of the seats is really cool. I like that.
Yeah.
They do have a really cool pattern to them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like the honeycomb, and you can still get that.
Oh, can you?
I like when cloth seats kind of look nice or interesting.
Yeah.
Well,
I
it
don't
takes
know.
away from the fact that it's just cloth.
Yeah.
You know, it gives them a little bit more of an upscale than
I
being
will
a base seat.
Yeah. I will say that as a dog owner, well, you guys are both dog owners, cloth does suck for that. And so it's weird because you'd think cloth is kind of more utilitarian, but in a sense, for some things, vinyl or I mean, maybe
Leather.
leather would be easier to
I
clean.
also, like, kind of going on that, I find it a little interesting that a lot of trucks have base cloth seats, because for a work truck, you think you wouldn't want that.
Right. Yeah. You'd want
I
vinyl.
think it's just because it's cheaper.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
It's got to be really
Yeah.
the only thing I can think of.
But I mean, for the truck, this truck specifically, all the materials, even if they're cheap, they did a nice job. Like your steering wheel, the it's not perforated leather, but it looks good. It feels good.
Yeah.
Like all the plastic around kind of the dashboard, they did a nice job with the layout
And the coloring and the finishing on it.
Yeah, and like I kind of say this with like certain like older Volkswagens, they tried to take a cheap material and make it look really nice. Where this, they were just like, well, let's just make it not look like really cheap plastic.
Right, like they know they're acknowledging that it's cheap materials.
Yeah.
But they did well with the cheap materials.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I like this stuff, like right here, there's this kind of, I don't know what you'd call it, but it's nice.
It's like a cloth. I don't know.
It just kind of mixes up, you know? I mean, and everything honestly feels pretty good. Like these switches and knobs are, like they have a fairly quality feel to them. I mean, you know, it's nothing fancy, but it works and it suits the interior of the truck.
And that's that's just the theme of the vehicle. It's very just utilitarian interior. And it is what it is.
I think the only part of it that is really nice, and I think this is a point that we all agree on, is the TRD shift knob. It's pretty cool. I'm a fan.
Did you say the only part that's really nice?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Really nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think I said?
No, I thought that's what you said.
Oh.
I just wanted to make sure I heard it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it is really nice, especially seeing a base shift knob.
Oh, yeah. After we saw the base shift knob, we were like...
Yeah. I mean, it kind of... The base shift knob looks like an upside-down egg.
And it's too small for the...
Well, right.
It really is.
Yeah. Like this, I thought this was big, but it fits. It fits. It's very trucky.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When I didn't want that originally, but it came on the truck and I was like, oh.
Yeah. That
Yeah.
and the
I like
TRD
that.
exhaust, right?
Yeah, the exhaust tip.
Tip, yeah.
It's
yes.
just the little tip on just the tip.
Oh, I actually really like the gauge cluster in this. I like the font and the way that it's laid out. You know, for what the car, what the truck is, I think, you know, the gauges that it offers are fine. And you've got that little digital screen, which is actually pretty nice looking.
It's a decent digital screen too. It's not like
It offers enough.
Yeah, it's not like
The Ridgeline's Speedo that would look like...
Yeah, and it's not the was it the Pacifica that was just like you'd hit the button and then like hang out for a while,
this
and then
is
it was
responsive.
whoa, okay, next thing.
Yeah. Here's a totally off-topic question, but why do you keep it on miles per gallon? Is it a challenge or because you like to be depressed?
To me, it's a challenge. I like the challenge. I don't necessarily need, like, my other options in the main info screen are like speed and distance to empty,
I like the digital
trip
speed.
distance, and like my trip time. Like,
Yeah.
I like watching the fuel economy bar jump around and go,
Yeah.
yep, I'm accelerating, and ooh, I'm coasting, you know, that sort of thing. I mean, I suppose I could put it on the little, my little directional gauge, but I've got one up in the mirror, and I like the little truck.
Yeah, it is
That was a
kinda
cool
nice.
thing that they did. That I like that Tacoma did on here is that they put the little truck or a little mini version of your truck in a lot of places, and you look at it and you're like, that's actually a Tacoma. It's
Right.
not just like generic car 5.
Yeah. Perhaps the most quirky thing, in my opinion, is / infuriating if you're like if it's light. Like sometimes it's really hard to see the screen,
Yeah.
and like, you know, if it's bright, if it's light out but it's raining, so
you have your
need your
lights on.
lights on, then you can't see the screen, and it's kind of a big pain just to be able to then turn the brightness up.
I think that's a problem with a lot of
Well,
these
and
really
you-
high gloss screens.
I know you had trouble when you borrowed it finding like the daylight mode.
I didn't find the daylight mode.
So that would be part of the issue. There is a daylight mode.
Yeah.
It is harder to get to than I think it should be.
Yeah.
I mean,
think
I didn't
both-
find it, and I'm not dumb.
Both the screen off and the daylight
I promise
mode
I'm not dumb.
are like because, so for example, if I turn my lights on and I can screen off is easy to get, but you have to hit display and then day mode at the bottom.
But I think that was part of the problem, is that it's so dark that you can't. I couldn't even really like tell.
You're like, what am I pushing?
Yeah.
Where is it? Yeah. No, I get that, and I do wish. We've been in some cars recently that have had a screen off button.
Yep.
Somewhere integrated onto the screen or the dash. Yeah, like a button.
Yeah, just like.
And I like that. Like, why can't they just do almost like a dimmer button, like almost like a three-way switch on a bulb? You know, you click, 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 like day screen, night screen, screen off.
Well, because they have all the other buttons that you want. I mean, I know these are touch sensitive, but they're still buttons, and hard buttons technically to get to all the things that you need: home, audio, apps, whatever. And that's got the volume and tune knob. So it's just funny that they wouldn't have included just one more. But even if it was just over here, like a little,
Yeah, right.
Screens.
I also really like that this has a wireless charging pad at the front. It's kind of neat. Because sometimes I forget my charger when we're going to do some work over the summer or
and
something.
It's not great.
No, it's pretty slow.
Like half a watt maybe. Like it's to be fair, it's terrible.
But it's there.
But it's there, and it is an option.
It's a nice emergency option.
It comes in, I think, all Toyota's standard at this point.
I'm sure, yeah.
Across the entire line. Like, I've seen it in...
It might not come in the Corolla, because you probably couldn't fit it, but...
There's a lot of them, they put it, like, here, because then there's a parking brake.
I'm mostly being sarcastic.
Yeah, anyway.
He knows the Corolla's not that small.
Anyway.
In the hatchback, just put it in the rear.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's in the trunk in the smaller models. And for a daily driver, it's got all the functions you need.
Lots of headroom.
Minus Apple CarPlay.
Yeah.
And LED interior lights.
And the back seats really aren't bad.
No, they're fine. I mean...
I know you're, quite tall, so...
But there's headroom. It's more...
leg room.
I think I could do it for a bit. The bench seat, though, is a little uncomfortable. I think...
Yeah.
I think maybe I could be back here for 3 hours. That'd be my guesstimated limit.
This is locked. It's got some pretty decent storage though, and I like that it has the cup holders right there. Because generally there's only 2 people in the car max, so it's nice to be able to just throw like some other drinks back there, especially on a long trip or something. But
and they have them in the doors too.
Yeah, you got the bottle holders in the door. It's pretty nice. Yeah, it's a fine interior. I like it. I like it better than the Wrangler. By a lot, actually, but...
Yeah, no, I do too.
The three of us ended up liking the Tacoma's interior and its utilitarian style. The designers didn't try to trick you into thinking you had premium materials. They just made the rugged interior look nice. In a body-on-frame truck with leaf spring suspension, you'll always have a compromised ride with some road noise. But all that considered, it's a pretty decent setup. If you're looking to buy one, they're not going to be super expensive, but don't expect to find a price break on the used market.
Yeah, and it's kind of nice because it makes buying a new one worthwhile.
Yeah.
Because you might as well just spend $5,000 more and get one with 50 less thousand miles that you spec yourself however you want it.
And that's one of the things I ran into when I was looking at this. Is 2 years old, and I'd save $300, maybe $3,500 on it, and it'd be out of warranty. It'd have 50,000 miles on it, and it would be not necessarily 100% of everything I wanted.
Yeah, and to be fair though, one of these out of warranty is almost never an issue because they're just so bulletproof. I mean, automatic, manual,
minus the the minor frame recall. But
that was on the 2nd gen. The 3rd gens are fine. The rust. I mean, rust is always going to be a problem up here. But great engine. And it's also, if you do work on your own stuff, it's pretty easy to work on. It's not hard.
In its own way, because it's a little tall, so it can be tough to get to certain things.
A car will always be easier to work on.
Well, but I can get under this without lifting it.
True, you always change the oil without having to jack it up.
Yeah, that's pretty nice.
Yeah.
I really, really, really dislike that when you put it into reverse, like if you knock it out before you're actually stopped, or really any time, it'll turn off the review camera immediately.
Yeah.
Which is just, it's annoying enough.
Yeah, well, especially if it's your daily and that's something that, matters
Right.
to you.
And like for me, I adjusted my driving that I just leave it in reverse until I'm done reversing.
Oh, okay, let's be logical, but...
And if I want to, coast a little bit, I just push in the clutch.
Yeah.
It's like, what would be our overall consumer message about this vehicle?
I know what Nick's is.
Well, I think
My honest advice is if you're genuinely convinced that you need to buy a truck, and need is a very strong word, then I think it's fine. And the resale's there, and you're not gonna lose a ton of money. But I think that you might be a little disappointed. But
yeah,
I don't think that someone's gonna be like, "Oh, it's the worst thing I've ever bought," blah blah blah. But
no, and you're certainly not gonna be like you have the resale, the reliability. You have it's a truck, but that you know what I mean. Like I think you'll be disappointed if you're expecting, sedan levels of comfort.
Or even an SUV.
Yeah.
Like, but I mean, I also drive 100 miles a day.
Right, and for us, it's not a big deal.
No.
Yeah.
If you don't have a long commute and you really, really want a truck, I would get, if I was going to get a truck and I just needed a truck, this would be the one I would pick out of all of them, I think, primarily because of its reliability, because obviously, that matters more to me than a lot of things. But also just because, resale and all that means that I'm not going to immediately lose all of the money that I spent on it.
Yeah.
And if you just need a truck and you're not actually going to use it for a lot of stuff, I think this is fine.
Yeah. I do want to drive the Colorado and Ranger at some point, because I do like both of those more, but not because of anything particular. Like I kind of like the way they both look, or I like sinking forward. But I think it's kind of like with BMW and Audi. I think this is the best all around.
Yeah.
Where maybe Ford does have the nicer interior, maybe Chevy has the most off-road oriented package from the factory, something
CX2,
like that.
Right?
Yeah, exactly. But I think this as an overall package is the best option.
Yeah.
And has the most options.
Yeah.
In terms of engines and cab and size and, transmissions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because none of the other... Actually, one of the factors for Josh buying this was that this was the only mid-sized truck that you could get a manual with the best engine option.
Yeah.
Or most powerful engine option. You can argue which one's better, but...
Yeah.
Because there's no way I was planning on using a 4-cylinder to tow.
Yeah.
Right.
And that was what, if you wanted a manual on the Colorado, that's what you had to get.
Yeah.
Oh, exterior?
Oh,
I love it.
I do too.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like the hood scoop more.
Yeah.
I like it less.
I actually don't like the hood scoop, but...
I think it kind of fits the truck.
Yeah. I also kind of I do like that they went to body color on the bumpers and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But I don't mind the chrome. I don't mind it. And the grille looks nice, especially.
I think that it looks bad now. When I see ones with chrome bumpers, I think they look bad.
Yeah. I
Interestingly enough, if you wanted the parking sensors and the backup sensors on these, you had to go with color match bumpers.
Huh.
And then you recently did the cap, and I think that the cap really fits the truck.
Yeah.
I almost think it looks better with the cap.
I almost agree. I do agree with you. I think it really does look better.
But there are some trucks where it's ugly.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if it's just because this is a bit smaller, and with the 5.5 foot bed?
Yeah, or 5 foot.
5 foot bed, it doesn't kind of look so bulbous and funny.
Well, and what I mentioned to Josh, I don't think you were around, but I really like the new 4Runner.
Yeah, me too.
And I think that the cap actually kind of gives this a 4Runner feel.
Yeah.
When you look at it. So it doesn't, because Toyota makes their SUVs, some of them are close enough, it doesn't just look like a truck with a cap on it.
Yeah.
The main selling point of the Tacoma, as far as we're concerned, is resale and reliability. These trucks lose value at a snail's pace and will run forever with routine maintenance, unless the frame rusts out. While it doesn't excel in towing or daily drivability, it's likely the best all-around mid-sized truck on the market today. Hey, thanks for watching. Stay tuned for more car reviews, DIY videos, and an upcoming podcast.
And like and subscribe.
Alright. Giggles, gotta get the giggles out. Welcome back to A Valiant Effort. Hi, I'm Josh. I don't know that one.
Hi, welcome back.
Hi,
or just welcome back.
Welcome back to A Valiant Effort. I'm Josh. There we go. Yeah, that's what I want to say.